Hello. Happy Sunday.
Hello, happy Sunday.
We're here together.
Don't you love it? We do. How are we not wearing our matching outfits right now?
I don't know. I didn't bring my matching outfit.
Sleep.
I know. Scoot this way a little more. Get you in here. Okay, cool.
So we're waiting for our friend Robin. And Robin is... hey, Shields.
Hi, Mama.
Robin is a Latinx activist. And they work on something called the Activist Theology Project. And I highly recommend you looking up them and their work, and they're fantastic, and they're a dear friend of ours, and they're joining the self-study program that starts in March. And so we were like, hey, you want to tell us why, so that everyone else will know why they should join it too?
Yeah, so Robin will be in here shortly, and we'll
and in the
chat.
meantime, we're going to sing you some songs.
What? Go ahead.
Okay. What's a good Sunday morning song for singing?
Oh, there's Robin.
There we go. Thank goodness.
Okay.
You just said.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we're
I
done.
know.
Hi.
Morning.
Morning,
What does that say?
Papi Chulo. I'm trying to get my thing fixed so that I can sit down and talk with y'all. Give me a minute.
Well,
That's why
logged
I
on.
hadn't clicked to join y'all, because I hadn't got set up.
Oh, that's okay. We're glad
Well,
you're here
you
now.
logged on just in time. Kate was about to make us start singing.
Oh, no.
Wait, both of you, what?
Well, that's not what Sunday is for. Saturday is for singing, not Sunday.
Every day is for singing.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
We're just peachy. I know it's hard to get in the right frame.
Can see you better now. What are you doing this morning?
Well, I got up at 9 and I took a shower, got cleaned up for the day. Sometimes I don't shower until dinner time.
Same.
Sometimes
And
I don't shower at all.
And I work in my stank all day.
Definitely.
But I live with someone who requests that I shower before I get back into bed.
I see.
So, I try to accommodate requests. But I showered, I ate breakfast, had a long conversation about whether or not I should get a sandwich at the butcher shop.
Okay.
Or we should get something at Panera.
Yeah.
And now I'm with y'all.
Strong start to your Sunday.
What did you choose on the sandwich department?
Well, I'm trying to make long-term changes around how I eat. And even though, so we get our stuff at Bare Bones Butcher, which you turned me on to. And I have been getting a sandwich there once a week, which is delicious and everything, but because I am trying to tackle my A1C levels and other things, the recommendation was to get something at Panera instead.
I see.
So that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
It's not to say that I can't get something at the butcher shop at some point, but right now we're trying to put into practice habits that support me long term.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, those are just the changes that I am trying to make in relationship with my body.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so one thing that we love to talk with Robin about is Robin, I want you to tell us about your work and how you think about this word becoming.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, well, let me just say that I gave a talk for a conference in January, and I talked about this, and some of the comments referenced Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. And what I want to say is that Becoming was a thing before Michelle Obama wrote the book, Becoming, and that I'm actually informed by the philosophical tradition of Becoming, which I've written about, am writing about now, relative to embodiment and democracy. But basically, we have two kinds of becoming. One is like mechanistic and transactional. And by that, I mean, we can sort of see that in capitalism, the ways in which folds of capitalism have become more robust over years through things like transacting money and the way that gets converted into energy and impacts society. Mm-hmm. So that would be like mechanistic change. And then the way that I prefer to think about becoming is from the French tradition, because who doesn't love the French? I mean, Napoleon was an awful person, but the French did produce some really great illuminaries. And one that I really love, his name is Gilles Deleuze. And his concept of becoming is that change is in relationship. That's the best way to put it. And I think, I just don't think that we can be different people without being in relationship. Mm-hmm. And so becoming is a big part of my ethics and a big part of the way that I think about how to make change in the world, that it's really about relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that you're saying that right now and that we're having this call with you, because yesterday we were doing some movement together, and something that like came up for me was how much self study and like self work I have previously like done on myself, but like alone, kind of like under, like you're talking about like the mechanic, like transactional way of like, oh, right, I can read this book and I can do these things and I will like fix myself, and then right, how I show up in the world is in this way.
Right. So like an example of that is like what happened last summer for all the white people that were waking up to police brutality. Oh, let me read all the anti-racism books. Let me read Ibram Kendi's book. And we see that kind of mechanistic transactional behavior, particularly within whiteness, because whiteness itself is a mechanism of dominance that is dissociated and detached from relationship. This is why white folks don't have a historical memory of what has preceded their own, life. So I think you're absolutely right. Like when we do these, when we invest in ourselves, we do it from a place of hyper individualism that is radically disconnected and divorced from the value of relationship.
Yeah, and something that's like so dangerous about that, right, is like, especially being in like the wellness industry, it's like then we're going around like using the language of like vulnerability or connection or becoming or transformation, but like that's actually not getting like lived out into reality without relationship, right?
Right.
So actually just like putting on a different kind of mask to interact with each other instead of like actually doing the work in real time in relationship with one another.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like this is why we are in relationship with one another, because we really value not just a different world, right? Whether it is the fitness industry, the yoga industry, or whatever. We are really invested in values and practices that can not just inform our own individual lives, but our collective life as we try to make our way in this world, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is that? Will you tell us just like how does that feel differently for you? How can you tell when you're in relationship versus when you're in transaction with?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think trust is a big piece of relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and relationships only move as at the pace of trust. And I think that, because, um and I'll go back to whiteness as an example, because whiteness is this mechanism of disassociation, in practice and in values, that it evaporates the capacity for, or eviscerates the capacity for there to be trust. And so, as someone who is both transgender and Latinx, who is heavily identified towards sort of a communal way of living as a Mexican American, um, I know that I'm in relationship with someone when there is trust involved,
Mm-hmm.
and when we can say the things that we need to say to one another, right? Like if we're not saying things because we don't want to hurt someone, or because, and I'm not saying that we should be out to hurt people, but there's a way in which, honesty can sometimes really harm people, right? And so, how do we learn to say things without coddling white folks in this example, but actually really be honest about what's happening in the world? I think when there's that space, it reminds me, oh yes, I'm in a trusting relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, I'm just like, this is just so spot on the timing, because I was also telling Kate yesterday, like, for me, where that switch occurred was in like Kate and I have been close for a long time, but within the last year, we've started talking like consistently and often, like every day.
Yeah.
And that kind of consistency builds trust and like
Hmm.
requires me to be really honest if I'm like not doing well, or like if there is something that's upset me, or like not like what I would prefer to present, then I have to share that, because we're in that kind of consistent, trusting relationship, building trust over time. And that took
Right.
a long time to get there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about this, I think about what are the practices
Mm-hmm.
of togetherness that we can have, that not just, support our relationship, but actually accelerate, like the ways that we want to be in the world, right? I love that y'all talk. I mean, I often hear that oh, I just talked to Ruby, and I love that. And I don't why aren't we all three talking every day?
So,
Great question.
Great question. So, okay, so self study plug is like, yeah, part of what we're excited about for the self study is that that's part of what we're hoping to do together. Is to kind of, and we keep calling it like creating a container for that, but like creating a container for like trust to grow, and therefore like relationship to grow, and for that to be relationship like with self, and then like relationship with like the community as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And like Robin, I feel like something that I think and feel is that, and especially like in 2020 and 2021, like a lot of those like physical spaces where those things were taking place before, like we haven't been in them as much. Like, what sort of, I don't know, what comes up for you in thinking about that, those like physical spaces versus like a virtual space?
Well, I think, as someone who, had to make a hard pivot in 2020, I'm no longer chasing airplanes, but I'm chasing Zoom calls now. I have found, but I'm also a deep introvert, and so the Zoom doesn't bother me and doesn't exhaust me as it does other people. So, for me, I've really seen how well we can practice togetherness online. Um, I'm also someone who lives on the autism spectrum, who actually needs. I can't feel my body unless someone touches me.
Mm-hmm.
So while I'm a deep introvert and like love the fact that I'm at home in my little container, I also don't have the the um the ongoing practices of like embrace and hugging people, which helps me feel my body in time and space. So it's a both and double-edged sword for me.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad to hear that that is the experience for you. That it, that like virtual land is really, can be beneficial. I'm so glad that's your experience.
Well, and that's something I've noticed too in like teaching classes in the virtually over the last year is like for some people there's like something about being at home, like you're speaking to, like the comfortability of that and like the freedom to like really take better care of yourself because you have the container of your home and your space. So that like is probably for most of us, our homes get to be like probably the safest place if it's like if we have autonomy in our home. And so like having that comfortability is so beneficial. But I think also like after it's been so long of this like not having physical spaces and kind of like I think the virtual world can feel kind of monotonous.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's like all of a sudden now it's like surface level virtual because we're all just like trying to survive. So it's like what I hope with self-study is like, okay, so this is the reality and let's like stay in the connection piece,
Yeah, I have a story of an example I'd love to share about this. So you may know, but I'm also on faculty at Duke Divinity School, and I teach there every spring. And last spring, when everything went online, my students were really complaining about the expectation of things like production now that everything was online, right? So I was aware that my colleagues in the Divinity School maybe weren't adapting in a way that would be conducive to the now pedagogical space of Zoom. And so this spring, when I started my class, like the time that we have for our class every Thursday is 2.5 hours on Zoom. And so I said to my 12 lovely souls who are like very excited to study. Yeah, they're excited to be in class. It's a new semester and they're studying queer theory, and like, that's not something that gets discussed very much at Duke. And so, there's lots of excitement. And I said, so we are living in strange times called a global health pandemic. And to try to do life and school through this two-dimensional reality we call Zoom is like not the greatest. It's not the best pedagogical invention. And I have learned that more than about 90 minutes in a Zoom call, it's really hard to have fresh, generative, innovative ideas. And so I was saying to my class, so like we'll go for about 90 minutes, we'll check in and like we'll see if we want to continue going. And if not, we'll call it a day. They all said, you're the first professor to acknowledge that we are living in a pandemic and that we are not doing life as we think life should be done. Mm-hmm. I give you that example because we live in this world of sort of accelerated capitalism, surveillance capitalism, that there is a growing expectation and an unreasonable expectation to participate in the production of whatever we're to produce. For me, that would be talks and writing. Mm-hmm. For students, that would be reading and papers, right? For y'all, it would be more classes. And I think this is content. or more free content, right? Um, and I think like it's a time collectively where we can just put a bookmark in that and really do some evaluation, which is what makes me really excited about y'all's thing.
Well, and Robin, like what you gave your, thank you. I feel like, yes, thank you. We're really excited about it too. But what you gave your class access to was that all that was like the antithesis to everything that you were just saying was a check-in with the bod. You
Right.
said, hey, class, we're going to give this 90 minutes, and then we're going to all check in with our bodies and
Yeah.
figure out, do we keep going or do we do something else? And it's like, wow, the space, the breath that would give us all access to, the relationships that would give us access to, everything.
And what that required for you as a leader is like self-awareness and like knowing and having enough self-study under your belt to be like, I don't have to push this onto my students, right? Like, so like you as a leader practicing that gives so much space and now trust in the relationship.
Right.
Everyone gets to be like, oh, and now also like maybe, you know, like whatever gets done, and everyone is learning more because there's space for that, right? Like the nervous system knows like I'm going to get checked in with.
Yeah.
And even like, it's like this deep trust for like humanity that I just like really love, that seems to come like just deeply and innately from you, Robin. Like it's just like can we lean into the trust of like each other and ourselves and our capacity to be in the world as human beings instead of humans doing? You know, it's like we've taken the trust from each other and from our bodies and from just our humanness and put it into these systems that really are feeling.
Yeah. I think you use really important language there that, you know, if we had more time, we could sort of point to the ways that shows up in like the philosophical tradition that gets deposited in things like theology and ethics. But you use two words there, being and doing. And that the machinations of this society is so focused on the doing. And so, and the culture of whiteness in particular, right? I give the example of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd's death. Now everyone's going to read anti-racism books.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of orientation and value is tied to the norms of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of doing a fair amount of investigation into being.
Mm-hmm.
How do we want to be in the world?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then that choice of like how I want to be in the world then informs the ways in which we go out and educate ourselves.
Yeah.
And becomes like a true internal motivation. And I know you know about this as being a teacher. My background's in teaching, like in a classroom. And it's like, yeah, that's like how we really learn to move forward in a new way with new information and curiosity, is from that internalized like motivation of like, oh, this is like how I want to be. This isn't to prove to anyone else. This is who I want to become as a person.
Well, and I think being is also informed by how we show up in relationships, right? I mean, I feel like for me, it was only being around other trans people and other queer people that created conditions for me to then come out as trans, right? And sort of externalize my being in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and which is why being in relationship is so important, because it brings in embodied relationships, it brings us home to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in investing in ourselves individually while we are in relationship and community is like cool. So like while I'm working on liberating myself, I am also like liberating those around me and vice versa. And wow, we all get to move so much like deeper, wider, and like farther together that way.
Yes. How long are you in town for, Ruby?
Oh, actually,
I'm in
Kate is
Athens.
in Athens with me.
Really? I love it.
And I wish she would just continue to say, ooh, what does this say?
Yeah.
But she has to go back today. Oh,
Erin.
Erin. Love y'all. This is so good. Gotta go now, but thank you for having this important conversation and offering the space for folks to know ourselves better.
Thank you,
Thank
Erin.
you, Erin.
Robin.
Erin is my partner, who is amazing, who has taught me so much about. Well, Kate, you have also taught me a lot about embodiment, but being in relationship with a dancer has accelerated that learning.
That makes sense. That makes sense and seems completely reasonable. Yeah, I have also learned so much with Erin, from Erin, and their work is extremely important.
Well, when are we all getting together?
Right now.
I love it.
I'll come over and have some porch vino.
And you can FaceTime me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in self-study. So, like, I would just love if you could just, like, share why it feels important for you to, and, like, you've spoken to this already, but just, like, to the point, like, why have you signed up for the self-study program?
So, you know, when I saw it come through my email, I just felt very excited. But I had also been thinking about ways that I can invest in my own practice and myself. You know, I'm a person who gives a lot of public talks. I have the privilege of getting to write books, and I get to talk with people all over the world, really, about my work, and I'm featured on podcasts all the time, and I wanted a chance, a container, as y'all say, to like not be the facilitator, to not be the teacher, and to actually just receive and to connect the dots for myself. And I love both of you very much, and I felt like, well, if y'all could help steward some of that work, I would want to participate in it. And one of the things that I am actively working on right now is fostering or curating my own being of presence. Things in my life move very fast, and sometimes I think that I lose aspects of the being of presenceness, and so I wanted some help in that area, and I thought maybe this could be a place for me to like invest in community, even though like I'm this radical queer, person who is way off on all the political spectrums. But I really value the work that y'all are doing, and I wanted to participate in whatever community y'all created because I think that we're better together.
Mm-hmm. Love you very much, Robin.
I love y'all. I can't wait for us to be together in real life.
Me too. That is a piece that I am missing. I do not feel as connected to you via Zoom, which, it's just the way that it is.
Remember when you came over for pizza?
That was really nice.
That pizza was delicious.
I know. Shout out to Whole Foods Pizza, y'all.
Can I tell y'all something?
Yeah.
So you got that pizza from Whole Foods, and I decided one day to go get a cheese pizza from Whole Foods, and I was getting stuff for Erin's birthday, and we were gonna celebrate the whole week. She just turned 40, and so I got a cheese pizza, and then I bought pizza sauce, some veggies, some turkey pepperoni, and some olives, and an onion, and I sauteed the onion, and I like doctored the cheese pizza,
Nice.
and then put caramelized onions, turkey pepperoni, more sauce, more cheese, olives, and it was all because of you, Kate.
Wow. The way we can work together to elevate our experiences in life.
I'm just saying.
Last night I made a calzone.
Yeah, we made homemade pizzas last night, and Kate made hers a calzone.
Oh, yum.
So that's what we can do next.
So I love pizza.
Yum.
Same. My boyfriend made homemade crusts.
Yeah. I make homemade crust from Williams Sonoma recipe.
Okay.
Okay, I did not know that we were all making homemade pizza crust, but I'm in. I will learn how to do this too.
But because I am starting these new practices, I'm not really eating pizza right now.
We're having less pizza crust. Calzones are good. Calzones are good.
So y'all are in Athens right now.
Yeah.
You're coming back to Nashville today.
Uh-huh.
Great.
I just had a lovely little quick trip down. I am feeling I feel disconnected. Being at home as much as I am, and yeah. I'm glad to be connected to you.
Well, our mutual friend Ben Saunders,
Ben.
he and I used to have creative meetings every week
Mm.
at
Those are the kinds of things that I miss.
what?
Those are the kinds of things that I miss.
Yeah, we used to meet in Hillsborough Village at Fido
Fido.
every week.
Have you had their chopped salad before?
Or their
No,
No.
I love their burger.
Their burger is very good. They have one of the best burgers in town. Have you had the burger at Husk?
No.
Okay, sounds like we need to have another IG live with you and just talk about food.
Yeah.
Would love to have that.
Me too.
Yeah.
We have another call right this minute.
At 11. I have 30 minutes.
You have 30 minutes.
Great.
Are you a coffee drinker?
Yeah, I'm drinking my coffee. I'm fixing to go make my tea.
Cute.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Their burger is amazing. Miss April, are you talking about? April's joining, and April's also going to be in the self-study.
Oh, yeah?
Each other. April, are you talking about Husk or are you talking about Fido?
We'll see.
Did you see that Squeeze was on, too?
Yeah, he's a calzone fan.
Yeah.
Fido,
Oh,
yes.
Fido, yes.
Yeah.
Fido's burger. Amazing.
I mean, but now feels like an important time for me to tell y'all how much I also love Burger Up.
I mean, Burger Up is maybe my
I
favorite.
love Burger Up, but the Bare Bones Butcher.
Oh my God, I know, you're right. Nobody takes, yeah. And you've had their tots.
Okay,
Oh
I
my
haven't
God.
gotten to go there yet.
Their potatoes are amazing.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
Yeah. And their muffalata sandwich,
I haven't had that.
Oh, yum.
super good. Their Korean beef bulgogi sandwich, super good.
I've literally only had the burger. I think I walked in and was just like, feed me.
Yeah, so they do a sandwich of the week every week, and I love that. We buy all of our meat from them.
Yum. Mm-hmm. I think that's an important, if that's something that you can do, I think that's a really important thing to do.
And, we don't overbuy. We just buy exactly what we need and we use it. And it's a value of ours to try to practice sustainability. And so we spend more on groceries than if we were shopping at Target. But I get really anxious about our food killing us. So I try to
Some really sustainable systems around
Yeah.
food and you know, like, and the way that our bodies have relationship with that and
Yeah.
the earth.
Yeah, I would love at some point to talk with y'all about the nervous system and the ways in which, you know, if we, you know, we have these bodies and we need to be in relationship with our bodies, but what if our bodies are in a freeze state or a fight state or a flee state, right? Like, I would love to have that conversation with y'all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yes, I think many of our bodies live there in these spaces, and you know, all of the science shows us that one of the most like detrimental things to our health, all of us, is stress and how it shows up differently, and that means stress on our nervous systems. And
yeah, and it's like it doesn't matter really like what you eat or how much you move your body if your nervous system is frozen.
Right.
Yeah, and in a constant state of like hypervigilance and you know, and you know, yeah, we see these in like in particular like communities, and because of the system of government or access that, you know, somebody has had to fight their entire life.
Yeah, like putting people in survival mode.
That shows up in our bodies, and you know, and then there's the capitalism that tells us, oh well, you have to, you know, like treat yourself, like, and that doesn't help your nervous system, and
yeah,
especially if you don't have access to
it's
that.
like the ways we've talked about like self-care last week. It's like you can't just like treat yourself one day or like take one bubble bath and expect like your whole nervous system to reset.
Yeah.
Right. And lots of work. Lots of work to be done.
With Erin last week. Was that last week?
Yeah, well, we were talking about her class, Unraveling Whiteness. Yeah.
And Erin speaks to the nervous system so beautifully.
Yeah.
Let's the four of us chit chat.
Yeah, maybe all four of us could have a talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish that we could have more people on IG Live, but we can't do that.
It can only just be the two screens, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Yeah, because I couldn't figure out a way to bring you in on our IG Live while you were cooking your chuck roast and veggies.
No, I wanted to show it. My favorite thing is that were y'all in the same house?
Yeah.
I love that, but in different rooms.
Yeah.
I love it.
Was your food good that you cooked?
Delicious, yes. I've been eating on that chuck roast for, you know, I like made it and then I ate on it all week.
That's what we do.
I like to do that. And then I kind of make something that's like really basic, and then I can kind of like spice it up differently.
Yeah. We sort of alternate between chicken and salmon.
My roommate doesn't love salmon, so we don't eat a lot of salmon in our house.
Oh.
But I love it.
I love salmon.
Oh.
And I like the skin of salmon.
Definitely nice and crispy.
Yes.
So does Emma, my dog.
I love Emma.
Did you tell Robin that for a minute someone thought I was your dog, Ruby was your dog?
Oh yeah. One friend of mine was like, "Wait, so who is Ruby then?" And I was like, "It's like my partner and all the things." And she was like, "Oh, I thought Ruby was your dog." And I was like, "That's Emma, but also my partner and all the things."
I love that. So when does the self-study start?
March 21st.
Cool.
Yes, we're so excited. Actually, probably around the first week of March, we'll go ahead and get like the Slack set up and stuff so that people who have already applied and who continue to apply, you know, there can be like a free form of like getting to know each other, or just like having the shared space before we start. Making sure everyone's set up to be ready on March 21st for our first call.
Cool. Very cool.
We're excited.
Yeah, and then one thing that we'll all do together in that very first call is kind of create some group rules. You know, like what are our boundaries with each other? What do we need from each other? How can we show up with each other?
And like, why are we here? And what's our shared mission? to get, like, what is our group intention for being together.
Cool.
Yeah. We're so excited. And so glad that you're going to be part of it. And if you're watching this at any point, anyone, and you're interested in the self-study program, we are thrilled to have you.
Thrilled. That's our new favorite word, Robin. Thrilled.
Couldn't be more thrilled.
Couldn't be more thrilled.
And yeah.
Well, y'all have a good Sunday.
Thank you. You too.
You too.
Be safe driving home to Nashville.
I will be. Thank you.
Yeah. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. And I hope to see y'all soon.
See you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.